Hi, engineering students. Today I want to talk about how to make a good design doc for an engineering project. So the first thing you're going to do is come to the design document that is linked in Canvas and make yourself a copy. So that's under File, Make a Copy. I'm going to name this, hopefully, Gear Design, maybe Arduino keyboard design document, because that's the project I'm going to base it off of. I'm going to put it in my engineering folder. Maybe I'm not. Woo, super laggy today. Okay, I'm just going to put it there for now, and I'll move it later. Hopefully your Google Drive is very well organized, so you can just go put it in the folder that you've already created for this class. Let's hope. Okay, so now I have my copy, and I can start by, filling out some important stuff, like my name, this example will be for electrical engineering, but the same concept works for any other project you're doing in whichever of the classes. The project I'm going to do is the Arduino keyboard. If you were doing this specifically for Arduino 1, 2, 3, whatever, you could name it that, but having a description in there of what your project actually does is great, so go for it. The date, usually I encourage you, I would far prefer that you start this document the same day you start your project, so you can fill it out as you go. But I know that not all of you do that. I'd say 98% of you don't do that. So I'm gonna show you kind of this, start to finish process. I would prefer that you start this at the beginning and work on it throughout, but I think this will be better than nothing. Okay, so my project is, this should just be a description of the goal and intention of your project. So in this case, my project was to show a more complex Arduino circuit and program. I wanted to demonstrate a function, multiple inputs, and variables. So, I gotta spell things right though, but okay, but see how it underlines it in red? And if I right click on it, it tells me how to fix it. It doesn't look good for you as a student when I know that Google Doc does that for you and you didn't even bother to click on it and fix it, okay? Please click on it and fix it. Okay, my initial plan is I'll start with I think it was a 3-button and 1 buzzer keyboard setup, and add some more stuff. That was basically my plan at the beginning of that video. So things I had to change, in this case, I added a potentiometer, modified code. Those were the big ones. Did I change anything else? When we go look at the circuit, if I remember, I'll come back and add that. Challenges I overcame. So I would expect that this is not an empty section. If this is an empty section, you probably should have tried a more challenging project. If your answer on all of your projects is, I did the first thing that I thought of and it worked perfectly, that's not a good sign, guys. It means you're not learning what you can be learning out of this experience. So you should try something more challenging. You should have problems. Challenges I overcame is I totally forgot while filming how to pass arguments into a function. That was silly. I remember now, and I'll show you next week, but too many languages at once right now. Look, and I can't spell totally, but look, it's underlined in red, so I'm gonna right click on it and fix it. I can do it, you can do it. Okay, so that was the biggest one for me. That was pretty crazy. And then I think that's the only big challenge I overcame. But if I remember another one, I'll come back and add it. See, if I had been making this document at the same time I was making the project, I could have easily filled out these challenges as I went, and I wouldn't be having to think back right now and make it up. I can tell when you make it up, just make the document at the same time. Okay, what would I add or change if I had more time? I think I would add, I think I would change the notes frequencies so that they were actual notes on a scale, not just random frequencies. Okay, so right now, if you remember, just kind of, it starts at an arbitrary number and it changes that up and down based on the potentiometer. But that means we might have a nice clear C, or we might have like this weird thing that's higher than a C, but not yet a C sharp. I don't like that as much. So if I was gonna go fix this and I had more time to spend on it, maybe I will next week. That's probably what I would change, is I would want to make sure those frequencies were hitting actual notes. Things I'd like to cite as source material. I'm pretty sure I looked up the Arduino tone library. I also used the keyboard starter circuit from the TinkerCAD circuits library, interface, simulator. So I used both of those. Did I use anything else? I think those were the two. Again, if I was filling this document out at the same time that I was doing the project, every time I went and referenced something, I would just go add it to this list. And then poof, when I was done, I would just have a ready-made design doc. That's why it's a good idea. Okay, and then the things, so that's kind of the texty part, right? My explanation of what I was doing. But the things that I really want to include down here are the circuit itself. So I'm going to show you how to do that from TinkerCAD. Okay, so here is the project that we were working on last time. Oh, I added a switch too. That's right. Shoot, I got to go back and add that. Things I had to change. Added an on-off switch. Haha, there we go. Totally forgot about that. Okay, so this was kind of my starter circuit. And then I added the on-off switch and the potentiometer. Those were the big changes. So here's what I want to show you. First, while you could certainly do a screen grab of this, TinkerCAD has a built-in way for you to share your wiring diagram onto your design doc. If you go up here and you click export, that will give me the circuit board layout, right? Which is helpful, but not what I am requiring in here. Some of you turned this in last time and that's where you got it from. So this would be how to share the actual wiring if we wanted to turn this into a printed circuit board, for example. If you go one over to share, you can download a snapshot of your design. See that? Snapshot of your design. You click the little download, and we get a picture of it down here. So now if I come back to my Google Doc and I go to the wiring diagram schematic area and I insert an image, I'm going to upload it from my computer. There it is at the top of my downloads. Haha, doesn't that look great? Well framed, it's exactly the right size you need. Looks wonderful. Okay, so there's the wiring diagram. Cool. I also want you to paste in here your code. So all you do is you click on code and we're gonna go select this whole thing. Copy, paste, poof, there's my whole program. Okay, so I'm gonna remind you or show you, remind you that your code should have a header section. It should have your name, it should have the date, it should have a description of what your project does. It should have any anything you want to reference in here that you based it off of, like, oh, I watched this video tutorial on this website, or I got this idea from an example on wherever. You want to reference those in here. So for example, on this one, I said based on the keyboard example from TinkerCAD circuits, right? Because that's what I started with as my base. So I need to make sure to give credit. If you used a SparkFun Inventors Kit example as a place to get started, great, fine. But source that in here, say based on SparkFun Inventors Kit version 3, example 5, project 5, whatever. Make sure you're referencing that stuff in here. Don't take credit for things that you didn't do. Take credit for things you did do. Okay, so header section, important, required. If you go down a little bit, you can also see that I have comments explaining how this program works. You should basically consider your comments to be the explanation, the narrative of your program. If someone who is not a programmer is to sit down and read just your comments, they should be able to understand how your program works, okay? So your comments are your narration, your explanation of how your program is operating. So bring over someone in your family that doesn't know any programming and have them read your comments and see if they can explain how the program works. If not, you don't have enough yet. Add some more. So I like looking at them in here because like most IDEs, it does a good job of highlighting in different colors, different types of things. So you can see that my comments stick out in orange. So you can bring someone over and say, could you read just the orange text and see if you know how this program works? It's a good check. All right, so I have pasted in my wiring diagram. I have pasted in my entire code section. The one other thing that I would like you to add is a link. And I showed a way to do this last time on a different video that I don't think is very reliable, so I'm going to give you new instructions and I'll try and go back and edit that video. So here's what I want you to do instead. Previously, I had you do the share and it makes a temporary link, but it doesn't stay. And so if we try and go back to it more than a day later, a lot of times I'm getting a file not found. So that's not going to work for us. So instead, if you go back to your TinkerCAD dashboard and you find the circuit that you want to turn in, and you click on the little gear symbol, settings, options, and we go to properties. Here you can change the name and the description and things like that, but here, importantly, you can change it from private to public so that I'll be able to see it. And then license you can change or not change as you see fit. I usually use attribution, non-commercial, share alike. That means if somebody else uses my circuit or my code, they have to give credit and they can't go make money off of it. And if they make their own, they make something new out of what I made, they need to share it as well. Okay, but you can read more about those different license types down here, or you can pick the one that you think is appropriate for you. Importantly, you got to change it to public. We're going to hit Save Changes. Now, when I click on the circuit, before I go to tinker this, if I go down, aha, here's a link. So I can copy, paste that link in right up here. And now when someone like me wants to go look at your circuit, I can go look at your circuit. Ta-da. It'll also be able to show me that this is an original by you instead of turning in someone else's. Okay, so that didn't take very long, guys. It would have been even faster if I had been making it the same time as my project. But I filled out the important top section. I showed you how to get a share link that will be stable over time. I filled out the basic text stuff. You should really have something under challenges I overcame. Should be something in there. Make sure to cite any source material you use, SparkFun, the Arduino library, the TinkerCAD circuits, our Canvas class, the web, wherever you got your idea from. If you really invented it out of your own head, that's fine, that's great. But if you used something else along the way, you need to cite it. Share your wiring diagram right here, your code here. The last one that I'd love to see, but I'm not requiring, is your bill of materials. So if we get this back and we go up here to the upper right-hand corner, there's one that says component list. If you click on that, it will tell you exactly what you're using. And you could even just copy. I could have sworn I just hit copy. Did I not hit copy? Let's go try that again. Copy. No, doesn't want me to copy from there. Over. Okay, so that's why I'm not going to require it. You could certainly download the CSV, but then you have to like open it, and then you can copy from here, copy, paste. So it's nice to have in here, but I'm not going to require it because that's just kind of a silly extra step that seems less essential. Okay. So there we go. That should be everything you need to make a great looking design doc. If you have any questions or you need to see any part of that again, you can let me know and I will be happy to help. Okay, have a good day.